Excited to be here, Phil?
I'm excited. I want to be clear that he called me this morning and asked me what I was wearing. That's why he's wearing what he's wearing. He copied me. I want to put that out there. He's not even listening.
And just to preface this whole thing right here, I want to just mention that Phil a minute ago said that he thinks he had too much coffee. But I have to tell you, after speaking to him, I feel like I don't need coffee because he's so impassioned and he's so energetic about everything I've spoken to him to already. So I'm hoping we get a lot out of the conversation. Phil, let's start by talking just about the title here, because it intrigued me. What does finance look like for Small Business 2030? But when your shoemaker becomes your lender, just paint that picture for me.
I mean, it's so funny because I've been getting that question all morning, the idea of when your shoemaker becomes your lender. This is not something new. I think we all go about our daily business on a regular basis, and we very rarely think about how the financial services are interacting. When you talk about a small business owner, what a small business owner looks like today. Your Uber driver is a small business owner, right? He's an independent contractor. Do we think about how his finances move, how he manages his money, how he handles sort of the incoming and outgoing, how the money moves back and forth? When we think about our shoemaker or our cleaners, or when we go to make a purchase on Amazon, do we think about what finance looked like 20 years ago and what it looks like today? The concept is an odd one, but it's something that we're actually all doing today. We're actually all operating differently by engaging with our financial services very, very differently. And when you empower small businesses and you provide options, you're not telling them to do it differently. You're providing options. You're providing optionality where they can actually manage in the way they want to manage, right? Something I talk about a lot, meeting the consumer and the small business owner where they are by giving them the access to those services. And so the answer is yes. I don't think it's making sure that one day your shoemaker can offer small business loans. It's how are we doing it today, and how are we doing it safely, how are we doing it reliably, how are we ensuring that the small business owner is protected, and more importantly, how are we ensuring that the consumer is protected.
And it's interesting, you were saying that there are real life examples of this happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, when you go on to Wayfair, or you go on to Peloton, or you go on to Amazon, and you want to finance a product at your purchase, there are options today with partners of Cross River, a partner called Affirm, that enables you to actually finance. It's a loan. It is a consumer loan. It looks like a loan. It feels like a loan, and it gives you access and an option at checkout to finance. Now, it's also, right, you're the consumer taking advantage of that product, but it's also offering that business. Now, I mentioned the big ones, but Affirm, as an example, partners with thousands of small businesses all across the country, providing them that same access to enable that consumer to get the purchase or to get that product, and also make sure not to put the burden on the small business owner, right? Because I think too often times what happens is, and I know this growing up, you go into your grocery store, you go make a purchase, and the business is assuming that risk, right? They're like, oh, we'll write it down, we'll keep a tabulation of what you owe and pay us back when you can. Today, we're actually taking financial services and putting it with the expert in financial services, and we're letting the shoemaker be a shoemaker. And I think that's really critical here. We're empowering them to have a responsible access to financial services without compromising on their ability to continue to grow their business.
And we're not just talking about decentralization here. We're talking about, as you and I were discussing before, democratization.
I want to be clear about something. When we talk about Fintech, and you're seeing it all over the place, and thanks to Propelify and Aaron and the entire team who've done an amazing, amazing job. The idea of Fintech is about optionality and creating new ways to meet consumers and small businesses where they are. And so what that means, and we say it all the time, and I don't think enough people take the time to truly understand the democratization of financial services, level playing field. Historically, you relied on a relationship with a big bank. You relied on a relationship with a store owner to get that credit, right? Today, we're removing all of those barriers to entry, and we're creating access to financial services to everybody who needs it. Regardless if you have a relationship, regardless if you understand the nuances of the financial services system, we're providing you fair, safe, equal access across the board, regardless of who you are, where you come from. And to me, you're removing the barriers to entry, right? Because historically, unfortunately, not everybody could get a loan. We talk about small business loans during the pandemic. not everybody had access to a bank relationship where they can call up their banker and say, my business is struggling, can I get access to a loan? And so now what do, right? They're in a bad spot, right? You're up against the wall. I don't have access to a banker. My business is struggling. What do I do? Enter fintech, right? Enter financial technology. Enter forward-thinking organizations who say, wait a second, I don't need to have a relationship with you. I can create technology-enabled systems that will enable you to fill out the appropriate forms, and if you're eligible, get access to that loan. Regardless if you have a relationship, regardless of whether I've known you before, I could do that due diligence right now. And this is the best part. It is safe, it is reliable, it is not skirting anything, it is not sacrificing anything that you as a small business owner or a consumer need when it comes to your financial services. And that enables us to do really amazing things.
And in essence, you are cutting out the middleman in many ways here. And the other thing that you and I were talking about is the role of the credit bureaus and your credit score. So in many ways, this will remove some of that burden, some of that restriction.
You know, when you think about the process, and I grew up, and my dad used to say, you know, when you get to college and you want to buy a car, you got to be careful about your finances. You have to worry about your credit score, and every time you're a day late or a month late, it's going to hurt your credit score and your ability to, and right, when you're in college, you get the idea of buying a car, but you don't actually are thinking about, like, one day I'm going to want to buy a house, and that same credit score is going to impact me. Also, when you think about the upside and downside of what a credit score actually is, a credit score is a snapshot of your past. Everything you have done right or wrong in the last, however many years. What we're able to do today is look at you as a consumer, as a small business, in the present and your capacity in the future, right? And we talk about machine learning and AI. The idea is to understand who you are and make sure that we're making the best decision based on the information we have. And so as an example of that, maybe you're in your life, you were going through a bad time a year ago, and you got laid off and you missed a few bills, which is unfortunate, but it happens. It happens for everybody, it happens to all of us. But today you have a job, you have a great job, you're excited, you've rebounded. Your credit score is not gonna show that right away. But today in real time, by utilizing fintech, we're actually able to take a snapshot of what you look like today, what job you have today, how you're paying your bills today, and your prospects for the future. And we're able, outside of just a number, to look at you and make sure that if you are eligible and we recognize your ability to actually repay, you're a good borrower, we're going to find ways to say yes, versus I think what too many people are used to hearing no, right?
Yeah.
You scare me, your credit score is too low. And in today's day and age, the technology exists. And once again, I can't say this enough, you don't have to sacrifice your safety and your well-being online. You just have to know who you're working with and make sure that they're a trusted technology company, they're working with trusted technology partners, and that it's a good operator.
Fintech, I think when certain segments of the population hear the terminology, it's a little intimidating perhaps, because they don't realize that we've been living and dealing with and living this evolution of fintech for decades and decades. We're going back to the first credit cards and how we've automated our payments. Of course, I don't know what life would be like right now without peer-to-peer transactions over, Venmo. So we're living this evolution.
Just to be clear about one thing, this is the innovations that we're introducing today are new, but the concept of innovating in financial services is not new at all. You go back to the 50s and the 60s at the introduction of the credit card, right? The concept of a credit card to take out an instant loan. Now, to be clear, that was something that everybody was afraid of, right? Like the idea of credit cards, is it too much? Can people make those decisions that quickly?
Back when cash really was king.
Correct, back when cash was king, and that's all people knew about. And all of a sudden this concept raises this question, well, is it safe? And today we're not seeing anything different except for the fact that your ability to really understand the nature of the products you're using are so much greater today than it was in the 1950s. Because think about in the 1950s, and you get this credit card sent to you in the mail, and they basically say, great, go to your local store and use this credit card, and we'll bill you, and if you don't pay, we're going to charge you interest. And you think back then, what's the consumer doesn't necessarily understand or appreciate it. So there's two things that happen. Consumer says, great, we're going to embrace this, and they go use it. They don't know what the interest rate is. They don't really truly understand when they're going to have to pay it back. They don't really understand the terms, how it's going to work, how am I being underwritten. Are they communicating with my bank? Do they actually look at my things or look at my financial records? Today, we're essentially offering similar products in that we're offering you instant access to financial services in different ways, at the point of sale or when you're looking to take out a loan for home improvements. But we're offering you a significant amount of transparency and so much opportunity for you to truly understand what you're getting, what it's going to cost, what the terms of the loan are, how you're going to pay back. And from our perspective, we have good insight into who you are. Are we offering the credit to someone who we think has the ability to pay back? And again, we're creating optionality. We're not forcing anybody to engage in these products. And I think differently than the innovation that you saw in the financial services market 60 or 70 years ago, I think most of us take for granted a credit card. I have one. Everybody here probably has one. Smart people probably don't have them. But the truth is, we take it for granted. We use them. We don't even think about it. If you're able to pay them off, then great. But if you're not, do you truly understand what the terms are, how often you have to pay, what compounding interest is, how a loan could quickly spin out of control if you don't truly understand? I think innovation and technology in financial services actually offers you the transparency that you want as consumers.
What is the most disruptive fintech right now, and what's in the pipeline that could perhaps change the way we do everything over the next 10 years?
It's scary. I mean, it's scary because it's a snapshot in time. If we would have had this panel 3 or 4 months ago, I would have said cryptocurrency is king and get involved in blockchain today. I'm not saying not to. I'm just saying I'm a bit more hesitant given everything that's going on in the world today, in financial services as well. I think what's happening today, and going back to what we said a bit earlier, is what's happening and what I think in the future is the continued democratization. If you go over to Cross River's booth today, we're not selling you any products. We're not selling you any financial services. What we're selling you is chambers of commerce who are looking to find ways to help small businesses, to help find you and the small businesses ability to plug into traditional systems that can help you grow and learn. And Cross River, whether we're doing it through technology or brick and mortar or relationship building like today, our goal is to democratize the system, to create opportunities and optionality, to make it clear to everybody here that you don't have to pick and choose whether do I want regulatory compliant and consumer protection or do I want fast and reliable, right? You don't have to choose. You can get both, and that is evolving. Even as markets continue to be unstable and the big R word that's hanging over the federal government that nobody wants to say, but you're seeing interest rates rise and uncertainty in the market. When there are times like these, the more transparency, the better. And unfortunately, too many people go back and rely on things that they just know of from I can't afford it this month, I'll just put it on the credit card. Before working at Cross River, was in public service and unfortunately didn't understand or know about all these great products. And coming out of public service, I had a significant amount of credit card debt. And I didn't know that there was optionality for me and that there were better products for me and there were more transparent products for me. And so taking control of your information and your finances, to me, is the key to your financial success moving forward. And by the way, when saying that, is knowing who you're working with, right? I joke that you want to make sure that you understand the companies, because there are bad actors. In every industry, there are bad actors who are looking to take advantage of you. Make sure you understand the partners and the financial services companies that you're working with, and take control of your own destiny. I mean, you're seeing it now more than ever before. Get your credit score, know what it is, understand how to change it. Those things are great, but also recognize that there's so much option in terms of taking advantage of the products that exist for you today moving forward.
What role does government regulation play going forward?
I mean, government regulation plays, in every industry, but financial services probably more than most. The goal is, I think, in government, and I can tell you this as someone who comes out of government, the goal is to protect the consumers, but protect the consumers where they are. Nobody should ever, not me, not government, should ever dictate what products you have to use. They should ensure that every product that's available for you is compliant, is meeting the standards that have been set to ensure that you're safe and the products you have are reliable. Unfortunately, it's not always the case, and unfortunately, it's a constant struggle to, the same way consumers have to understand the products, government has to be understanding of what innovations are in financial services. I mean, it's a constant challenge, and then I can tell you that we, and probably most of the tech companies here, I sit here and stare at the Meta banner, right? Meta is engaging with financial regulators and regulators across the board every single day, whether it relates to the financial services they're offering in the metaverse, or they're talking about privacy online, right? And so engaging government is just as much as important part of our business model as engaging you, our consumers, to ensure that the products you get are the safe and reliable products that you can come to rely on.
How do you overcome the trust issues, though, perhaps with, listen, I'll use my own folks as an example here. They still are very hesitant when it comes to conducting online transactions, peer-to-peer. You name it. Even they like to walk into a physical location. They like to meet face-to-face with somebody. They don't like the idea of, clicking and then worrying what happens next.
So the challenge that, and I say this about my parents also, and I use my father as kind of the barometer for, what the accepted sort of baby boom generation embraces certain technologies. The challenge is brick and mortar and traditional banks are slowly but surely no longer offering the services that they once offered. Right. Particularly, and I'll go ahead and say, particularly in minority rural communities are the first to lose those access to services. And so, and again, we have, and I'm proud of, we have the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the African American Chamber of Commerce, who would say, and will tell you, and you should go and go and talk to them, will say, like, the access to find brick and mortar, who someone could walk into, go talk to a banker, and walk out with the prospects of a loan, it's getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. We're working with the African American Chamber to set up a community development financial institution just for the reason of creating that access. And so I think the idea is meeting those consumers, but it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, what you're seeing today, I say, is different than what I saw when I first started in this industry 5 years ago, is different than what 2 years ago, and probably remarkably different than what we talked about on this stage a year ago. More and more people are embracing it, and I'll give you the example that my dad is better than my mom, but like my dad took on the iPhone like 3 years ago. My mom got it last year. But now that she's got it, she's using it, and she's using apps, and I don't have to tell you my kids, they're way ahead of all of us. But like I tell you that like there is a slow embracement of the new technology, and it's only a matter of time before they recognize it. And I say the same thing about consumers. It's about creating that optionality. Do banks still exist? Absolutely. Do traditional banks still exist? In certain areas they do, but the ability to get your services you need are not going to be there. And so it's incumbent upon all of us, by the way, to recognize sort of who are the good actors, who are the bad actors, what products are available in a safe, fair way, and how can I take advantage of them. And so it's shifting fairly quickly, probably quicker than you and I can probably predict.
Well, by the way, I still am having trouble convincing my dad to text. So believe me, we're a little behind you. Interesting topic here. You mentioned the PPP loans to me, and this is one of those ways where not only fintech, but smaller institutions, not the behemoths, can catch when there are bad actors who are trying to game the system. So please.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of financial technology, number one, it democratized the system to enable me to help you, right? To give you access. We proved it for the last 12 years. We proved it through PPP. But even more importantly is that we're in constant communication with our regulators. And when you're feeding all the information through a system, through a technology system, and all borrowers are entering the system through the same place, it enabled us to pick up on anomalies, right? That 5 different bankers are not going to see, because there's 5 different bankers. And I'll say something that's it was public, and so I'm not speaking out of turn. Bank of America said that it took them 10,000 employees to operate the Paycheck Protection Program through the pandemic. Great. Thank God they made almost 500,000 loans. Bank of America was the largest lender in the Paycheck Protection Program. We were the second largest at Cross River. We made 487,000 loans to small businesses, and we did it with probably less than 200 employees. Here's the beauty of that. Think about 10,000 employees taking in those applications, processing those applications, versus 200, and a technology system that enables you to feed applications through to see those anomalies in real time. And I can tell you, and
This is where AI, machine learning come into play also.
absolutely, absolutely. You're utilizing these technologies to see it and see it in real time. And I can tell you that there was one day where we saw 3,000 applications all using the same funding bank. I think it was 3,000 or 4,000 applications that came through in one day. And we thought, that's odd. Usually you see a few hundred from various banks in terms of receiving the loan. So applicants who came in and said, my bank is X. 3,000 or 4,000 in one day. We saw that, we immediately put a full stop to it. We examined it, and we realized it was a pretty complex fraud ring. And we alerted the proper authorities, and a few weeks later, the IRS and the appropriate agency sent out emails to every bank in the country saying, we've been alerted to this issue, please be on the lookout when you see applications that look like this. And that was something that we were able to catch. That I give huge credit to our team and our technology, but it wasn't just about, this is not just about us, and I say this about what we do every single day. It's about how we're improving the entire ecosystem for banks that want to innovate and consumers and small businesses who want to reach or access their financial services. And we're trying to make sure that we're offering those programs to anybody who needs them and then create opportunities to help where we can.
Phil, I think we've reached the end of our time. I saw a hand jump up in the front. Before we get to him,
brave enough?
Before we get to he's busy now. Now he's texting. Anything else you want to add?
I want to say you should take advantage, and today is a great day, and I say this for every single company is here, whether they're partners of Cross River or not. Today is a great day to expand your universe, to truly understand who your partners are in the tech world. Opportunities to, whether it's find a job, get advice as entrepreneurs, to really understand the nature of the products that are out there. You know, we do that every single day. Today is really an opportunity, even for my team who's here, most of them trying to make me laugh from the audience. They're here because we want to find ways, how can we contribute additionally to the ecosystem, and how can we take back guidance and advice on things we could do differently. And I give Tech United a tremendous amount of credit. I mean, something that was dreamt up by Aaron Price many years ago to sort of find ways to propel companies into the future, he has taken this to a whole different level. I mean, when he sat and thought about Propelify, I don't think he ever thought, when he looks around today and said, oh, this is what I'm going to create. I think he dreamt it, but I don't think he thought it would come to fruition. And so tremendous credit to him, to the Tech United team, to all the entrepreneurs, to all the businesses that came out to be a part of this amazing, amazing network. I don't think anybody truly appreciates what New Jersey provides to the fintech, to the technology community nationwide. I say that from Cross River's perspective. Cross River is probably the largest financial institution that is operating in the fintech space in the entire country. There's not another state that's doing what we're doing, and so we're doing it right here. And we're looking for that talent. We're looking for, I should be careful how I say this today, but we're looking for companies to acquire. We're looking for companies to partner with. We're looking for great employees who are looking for their next job or opportunity. So come engage with us. Come engage with the Chambers of Commerce that are here, and we have 4 of them that are here today. Come engage with the Chambers of Commerce. Come recognize how by partnering together we can really change the world.
All right, well, Phil Goldfeder, thank you so much from Cross River. Also, we thank you to Propelify and, of course, Tech United. It's been a great discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And by the way, one more plug, News 12, right? There's nothing like local news, so you can forget those cable channels. News 12 is where the real superstars are. Huge round of applause. Local journalism is where it's all about. And so thank you, everybody.